All right. Check, 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 check. What to do, what to do. It's your boy Kamal Hart, and we're back on the charts going bar by bar. I actually didn't get a video done for June, so I thought I would go ahead and do one for the 1st of July. Maybe we'll do two this month. Um, Another reason why I wanted to make sure I got a video done is that, the past 2 weeks have been pretty low on the volatility. So we're not really getting a lot of the follow through that we were getting just a few months ago. Um, and so if you're using bigger targets, you're not having a great time. Um, with that said, a lot of what I've been working on is just playing light. Like you just need a few wins to really blow the top off some of these accounts. So you don't need to be a superhero every day. And when the market isn't giving you what you need, you just need to chill, right? So sometimes that's a hard thing to do, but that's kind of where the focus should be. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the chart and we'll see what we can do here. So we have a leg down. An interesting thing about this leg down is that there's also kind of a leg up. So it's really um, it's ranging. I think there's a pretty obvious lows. The highs aren't as clear. So I'd probably look to put my line down here. What else would I be looking for? And then we have this trend going down. So we might be getting a test back to this low side. We have this sort of leg one. Um, I will respect it more when it officially reverses, but it's already starting to congest. So you could also be working with something like this. And that's just a micro congestion zone within the overall play. So it's about 6 o'clock. Let's see what we can get. See right here, we're just getting stacked. Just waiting to see which way we get the breakout pullback. So right here, that's the breakout. Let's see if we can get the breakout pullback. Here's the pullback, and we need to see close above this bar. See, like right there. So what we would do is this now is a potential trend at play. Let me see if I can just double that up. Okay, so we'd be using this trend. Kind of get that resistance where we'd expect. Maybe we'll get a breakout and another leg higher. I'd also be looking at the potential that this could be leg one. And then this could be like two. So I'd be looking maybe at those two targets. I'm not all the way discounting this bear trend, but we're clearly working on something else for now. So if we start trending lower, then maybe we'll take this measured leg. But for now, this is at least what I see. Right there is a first entry to that high. You don't want to go short underneath there. We're already, we're using this trend idea, so we need a reversal before we start going short. That's just the lower high. Although it's back into this congestion zone, part of me is realizing from this week as well, like trading back into a congestion zone, those aren't great ideas. If it's a ranging zone, see how like this range, it's like oscillating. There's a lot of distance between the highs and lows. Trying to trade back into a condensed price zone like this, Yeah, right. So probably want to skip that. And then here, um, I was looking for a second entry long, but I didn't like this signal bar. That wasn't really a great signal bar on my chart. So when that broke above there, it's not 100% convincing that this is bullish. It's kind of bullish. It's pretty bullish. Um, so maybe you drop a limit order back in, but you're starting to do a lot of other things if you're doing stuff like that, and you already have the open and close, open and close. So even on a small scale, there's like a little zone right there, right? So I don't necessarily want to just buy that breakout on a not so great signal bar. Kind of, it works perfectly, but you don't know that before the fact. So unfortunately, that would have been skipped by me. Um, Another thing we're going to look for is we have kind of one leg and now two legs higher. Off of that move, we can see that there might be a trend somewhere through here. Let's see what that does for us. Notice how we get this bearish bar right off that line. That's nice. And then we actually get some price rejection. There's the lower high, but we're going to really look for a long trade. Here's a second entry long off this high. I think there are a couple ways to sort of think about this trade. I'm going to go ahead and set it up because I think on the surface, it seems like an okay trade, but we're going to talk about that. So if you were to take that trade, now this is set for 1.5. Given the way the market is, I'd probably be going for 1-to-1. And then if I really just need a couple wins in the bag, I'd even just go for a 1-point scalp. But generally, I'll go for like 1-to-1. And on this trade, you don't get any of those targets. I want to talk a little bit about possibly why. I see this as we had a trend, a breakout side, move to a new high. So we could be getting the reversal. Although that idea doesn't quite solidify until this red bar closes, right? Because that's a reversal off this high. So you would, in theory, be drawing something like this. Now, the reason why this might not be as strong is because we're still trading within this channel moving up. But, there was that sort of pattern that played out. Again, on this particular play, we hadn't quite reached the key entry point. We had hit the EMA. Sometimes that's enough, but in this case, it wasn't. A lot of this trade I chalk up to just not quite touching the trend line and being in a setup that just didn't work. I don't like spending too much time trying to explain away my losses. I just try to take the lessons of what wasn't exactly right. And in this position, it was, we weren't quite touching the key entry point. We had this trend sort of play out with the new test. In this situation, maybe you're looking for like a higher low off a key entry point. That'd probably be a safer way to get in back with the trend. And that the idea wasn't terrible when you see this bar, but then now you're kind of confronted with like my signal would be this, and that's a pretty large bar. It's almost 3 points. Entering this on a limit, that's a lot of risk. Maybe you can put a limit back a few ticks and it doesn't even get filled. So it's tricky trying to re-enter there. Another trade that I saw like right here was the lower high. But again, that's not a great signal bar. We're not exactly at the key entry point. Depending on if you still have this line on your chart, um, although you're trading with the overall trend, you probably want to see this um, move play out. So we would need a reversal pattern, or we would need to test these lows, two legs, and then start to reverse. So even this higher low is kind of in a bad spot, not really the place that I want to take the trade. I'll mark it just to kind of get a vibe for it, but I don't think that's a great position. And you do get some initial push. Um, so you're just waiting. And then here you get a failure pattern. But what we should do is let's extend this trend to kind of fit a little better. And depending on how you have this drawn, you can tell there's not really enough room to scalp out before we get to this resistance. And I think that's another thing with this trade back here is that, especially going for 1.5, you don't have enough room to get out before we reach this channel side. That's probably a sign that you need a less aggressive target, or that you need to find a trade that actually gets you out before this area. So definitely this trade I would probably skip, especially if you're still in on this one. And it looks like we're going to get some of that movement. You come within a tick, or probably 2 ticks of actually getting out of the trade. You would have broken even on this trade depending on your management. At 8 ticks, going break even +1. So you would have just broke even. But all those things considered might be why this trade didn't work out either. And it's interesting that if we back up, so when this bar closes, we kind of negate whatever is going on over here with this micro trend. So I want to see if we draw our line like this. So now we have like another micro trend going that way right at this point. Yeah, so you get a breakout side, a move to a new high that fails, can't close above the highs. And then here we reverse. And what we're looking for here, it gets a little muddy, and that's just because we're such low volatility. We're not getting a lot of follow through today. But so if we kind of keep our system, break outside, move to a new high, when that reverses, closes below a previous pivot, and then closes below the EMA. So there's going to be a micro trend right there, right through there. Although, so this is a situation where I don't think I really want to even take the short. All I'm doing with these lines, these counter trend micro lines, are to just let me know when this counter trend stuff is over, and then I'm gonna start taking all the with trend signals. So like right here, kind of a breakout side. We're moving to a new low. I'm not sure quite yet if that's convincing. But what we can do, maybe, is take this as leg 1, and then look for what could be, it's close enough, leg 2. And then as we're kind of waiting on that, you can see we do get that breakout side, and right there, there's a failed second entry long, right? So first attempt to go higher fails, second attempt, right there it fails, but you can see we're back to back to back on this price action right there. So really what you're doing in that trade is selling a breakout. And this bull trend hasn't really played out yet. You never know if it is or isn't going to play out ultimately. We got kind of close to this measured move, so maybe that's enough. But you don't want to short that, not that play. But either way, we get sort of a breakout, and depending on how you have it drawn, I think during my session, I had it a little tighter, just off of these kind of highs or these lows right there. Just had it a little tighter. That breakout of the channel looks a lot more convincing. And then now we might expect a test of 4302 flat. And our next trade would be the failed second entry short breakout pullback above this congestion zone. That's what we're looking for. So like right there, you might say you're a little early. You want to see it close. This could just break out and then fail, but you kind of have the trend behind you. You have a measured move up here. You're looking for the test of this high. I would be okay going long there. And then see how this play kind of sets up where you're getting out before this high side channel. Well, it just depends on how your channel is drawn, honestly. But you can see over here, it's still, these trades still exit outside. So it's close enough. Takes it a little bit, and it just kind of looks like it's going to stall out. There's a lot of resistance, and I guess that's what I didn't mention and kind of overlooked is it looks okay. It's the breakout pullback. We're expecting the test, but it's right into this resistance, right into that resistance. So that's probably why it kind of got held up a little bit. But here's an important thing to point out. This is a very important bar in this context because right here, it's a matching top. And then right there, it breaks above and fails to close above of that high. So we have the breakout side move to a new high and it fails. That's generally a sign that we might reverse. And if you're in this trade, in theory, you should be at break even +1. So you would have got a break even trade. If you're going all or nothing, you just have to be aware of that. You're going all or nothing. But if I was to go all or nothing in this sort of situation, and then I see this bar, I'm trying to, tighten my stop, maybe below this swing, and then kind of get my profit target maybe at a point or maybe at 8 ticks. But that's not really a good sign in this situation. And see, depending on how you play it, if you had it below this swing, you just get stopped out. If you're still all or nothing, you're good. If you're breaking +1, you already out. It's just getting muddy. There's nothing really going on here that you should be trading, in my opinion. Just waiting. And then so here, okay, let's back up because we do need a sense of direction, right? That's the thing. When it gets kind of choppy, it's a little easy just to let the price run wild. And we need to kind of keep our structure so we know where we're going. And we keep that structure by using the short-term micro lines. So let's just go back a little bit and look at it like this. We had this congestion zone. We had a breakout pullback. When this bar closes, now we have a trend higher. So I would go from this low through the bar that closes above. So that would be our play. And then again, this adds more validity to what I was saying earlier, where we have our trend, we break outside, we make the new high and reverse. So seeing it even like that, it's like a double signal, like, okay, there's a lot of sellers up here. And we even get two legs and both fail, right? And once this bar closes, we have a close below the EMA and we have a close below a previous pivot. So now we need to draw one going the other direction. And in this situation, I don't know if you want to short, but if we get the setup, we'll see what we can do with it. So like right here, we have a failed second entry long off this high. And then there, it's a failed second entry. Now these bars, again, they're like inside of each other. So you kind of have to be aware that what you're really doing if you short below there is you're kind of shorting this breakout. It's a small zone, so I don't think it's like the worst thing you could do, but you might need to be aware of that because prices could snap back, you know, or just enough to trap you. So we'll measure this one out. And that's again 1.5. You know, I think on a day like today, 1.5 is really aggressive. You're better off on these slow sort of summer days to go for 1-to-1. And then if that's not ticking through, you know, I guess you just go back to one point. You know, I generally don't want to go less than 2 points, but you have to go with what the market is going to give you. So if that's what the market is going to give you, that's what you need to take. We get a lot of follow through right off the bat, and we go right to the target. We don't tick through. So depending on where you are in the queue, you might not be out, and then it pulls right back. So you probably got stop break even +1 again, and that's been the story of my past 2 weeks, is that I have trades just like this where we get a couple ticks away, you know, to the tick. There was another one over here or something, and they don't go through. They don't go through. So it depends on your personality as a trader, how you like to handle that, how you're going to deal with that. But it happens, and this stretch is where your money management is the most important thing, because you shouldn't be doubling down. Don't up your contract size to make up a loss. Just go small, keep it going, and then once that market shifts and starts trending again, starts moving, then you're going to catch those runners that really make the difference. But if you spend too much cash fighting the consolidation, you know, you just get burned a bunch of times and lose your equity. So I wanted to just point out that even on this scale, if you draw it a little tighter, I wouldn't say it's convincing, but you could maybe argue there's a break outside and then a move to a new leg. And then you might also, I don't think it's a perfect measured move though, but you might also see 2 legs very, very close to a perfect measured move. So, you know, we get 2 legs down. So now we're shooting back, right? And when you see price close above that swing, we're going to give it, like right there, we're going to give it a trend channel, or yeah, a little micro line. We get the higher low, too many bars stacked up. Then you get the failed second entry, and once that bar broke above, you'd probably go long there. There's not a lot of room to the highs. That's concerning. But I'd also just be looking for maybe a basic leg one, and then possibly leg two. Lots of follow through very quickly. Um, and then up here, this is just another like higher low or something, but we already have a break, move to a new high. It's getting a little aggressive to just buy that. Um, and that's what, 9 o'clock pretty much. So I don't trade much past 9, especially on a day like this. I don't, you know, I don't see the need. Um, if you take a look, we had one failure. Um, I determine a failure by a trade that doesn't go far enough to even get me out break even. So there's one trade that completely failed. This trade, I would have had break even +1. I broke even on this trade, and I broke even on that trade. And then this one was a full scalp out. So kind of break even on the day. This is kind of why I wanted to do today's video, because it's just like, there are a few days in the summer where you're gonna do everything right and break even. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. So don't feel too pressed if you're trading this week or this past couple weeks and you've been kind of break even or losing money. I mean, I haven't really been making money either. I've been breaking even. And today, I think a lot of that frustration all culminated into a day where I maxed out my budget, and I only lost maybe 1% of my account, but generally I don't even risk 1% of my account. So it's a little bit of a, like an operator error. I just was, I just being a little forceful. And I'm just annoyed. I've seen dozens of trades the past couple weeks go right to my target, reverse, and stop me out break even. And it's pretty annoying. But I know how this game goes, and you just kind of have to survive this time so that when the market starts to clear up, you're ready to jump back in with your correct size and get it popping again. So we're going to scroll through the rest of the day. I was noticing that, there's possibly a bigger channel working through here. You see the highs through there. And then we could throw on a midline. Maybe our midline is over here. We'll just kind of scroll through the day. You can see that like higher low trade, that's just a random higher low. That wasn't worth anything. And, because we have a leg up, now we're trying to see what we're going to do. We're kind of just ranging. See, we can see the range more clearly. Kind of just ranging through there. You actually get that failed second entry short right there. But trading the breakout, maybe that breakout pullback will be a little better. So like the really you want to see the close above this area, and that's why it's kind of aggressive buying above this. I would want to see a close to sort of draw my line, and then I'm gonna take the next bullish entry. So like right there, you don't even get the close, and then right there you get the close. So then you're looking at that and saying, okay, well, this is my trend line. And you see how that trend line, see how perfectly that trend line holds? That's crazy. And then look at where we get the resistance. Right at our channel, right? And then you can see this trend line. If I extend it, it goes right through there, right? And you get a like a second entry long off the EMA, sort of 2 legs back. I kind of like that. You could have bought that, and then that goes full target. So again, look at where your best trades are happening. Your best trades are happening when the market is sort of in this breakout range, not breakout range, breakout trend. Look at another sort of breakout trend, and we're we're buying off that second leg. And then where the trades don't work so well is when it's all fucking choppy and shit. So just kind of recognizing that, you got to realize that you need to try hard when you're analyzing and when you're developing new ways to sort of read the charts. But when you're actually trading, I don't know if you should be trying so hard. You should take three of your best ideas, just shut it down. Shut it down. Because if your three best ideas aren't quite hitting, then it's just not your day. And sure, it's coming. The trade is always coming. But by the time we get to this trade, how much money have you burned trying to trade all this other stuff? And that's really kind of the game. If you really want to sit and make money on these days, just keep your risk small, keep your decisions sharp, and just wait for your setup. Because generally, even going for 1.5, you took one real L. Everything else was break even. So you're chipping away at that loss. And then by the time you get here, you actually might be a little better than break even. And then boom, you get two trades in a row. Now you're having a decent day. So it can always be done. It's not even really like today wasn't really a bad trading day, maybe a little slow, but a lot of it, I think personally, was just the frustration and the emotion. But other than that, I followed my money management and I followed my trade plans. So, I'm going to show up on Friday. Might be slow tomorrow, but I'll show up again on Tuesday because Monday's a holiday. And just trade the system and only focused on trading the system. So that's long-winded. That's a little bit of a rant. The market is, it's closed, and you can see how all through up here we got resistance off that channel line, and we get a bounce off the midline. I mean, this is where you're going to get your best trades when it looks like that. So that's pretty much all I got, though. Not my best trading week. It's not my worst trading week, and we're going to learn from it and keep it moving. So until next time, it's your boy Kamal Hart signing out. Peace.